Hey guys, it's Bree. Today I'm going to be doing a video about applying to Oxford to do Japanese. So I thought I'd do a video with Dom.
Hello.
Who's a first year.
I'm a first year with Bree.
And also does Japanese.
And we're in my room at the moment because Bree didn't want to use her room.
It's bad.
You do have a very nice room though.
You're lying. It's like, you guys can see the sneak preview of certain angles, so maybe my room looks okay, but if you saw the whole room you would actually feel really sorry for me because
That's why I feel bad
terrible.
by being here. It's like you get to experience what a room should actually be like.
So anyway, a question that I've seen floating around a lot when people want to apply to Oxford is about your GCSE grades.
Yeah.
What GCSEs you did and how well you did in them.
So I think there's a sort of, what do you call it? People sort of think that you have to have certain grades to go to Oxford, and that if you don't have a minimum set of grades, then you can't come here, which is really not true.
Which my school actually told me.
Yeah, my school told me the same as well.
They were like, oh, if you have 10 A stars, you're more likely to get into Oxford.
You don't need that many A stars. You don't need to have perfect grades to get in.
No, you don't. So other than the compulsory ones like English, maths, sciences, I did Latin, geography, Spanish, Japanese, and I think that's it.
Okay, yeah, I did. So yeah, we had the 6 compulsory ones. Then I also did German, Japanese, Italian.
Italian?
I did Italian, yeah. ICT and I think geography as well.
I did ICT as well.
Yeah.
And I did drama. That's it.
I did Portuguese as well.
Did you?
I did.
So
I try not to mention it now.
Why do you do that for GCSEs, right? But I got 5 A stars in drama, Latin, Japanese, Spanish, and something else. Oh, that's it, and in English.
Okay, yeah. And I got 8 A stars and 3 A's. And yeah, my A stars I think were the sciences, English, German, Japanese, Italian, and ICT.
And ICT. Yeah. ICT was horrible.
I did no revision for that exam till the night before. I woke up on the day of the exam at 3 AM and I just revised the whole day.
Really?
Yeah. Which I wouldn't suggest you do, by the way. Don't do what I did.
I actually, during the interviews, I met people who hadn't got any A stars.
Yeah.
Or
and I know someone as well who got in without having any A stars at GCSE. So it really isn't the most important thing. I feel like it does help if you have good GCSEs, it will help you get an interview, but it's not the only thing they look at, so you don't need to have amazing GCSEs to get in.
And you also don't have to do GCSEs in the subject for Japanese or Chinese. So no, we both did it, but we're the only two in our course.
Yeah, we're the only two who actually did it as a subject.
Yeah. We have 8 people who they haven't really studied it before. And then 1 who's lived in Japan, who's Japanese really good. So yeah, we have a range of different people.
I feel like A levels are obviously they're more important in terms of applying, but your AS grades, I don't know if they still do ASs though, because it's really confusing. They're changing the system.
I think some subjects you still do AS.
Because when we applied, you had AS and A2 separately, and they saw your AS grades, and then you did A2 later. So I did German, Japanese, economics and politics AS. And
I did biology, Japanese, Spanish, geography. Oh yeah, and I did EPQ, but the biology was too much. It actually wasn't actually too much, I just found it really boring. Okay, so I didn't revise. So I was like, let me not do this for A2. What did you get for your ASs?
I got 4 A's for AS.
And I got 1 A. I actually got 1 A in Japanese. And then I got my geography remarked and that went up to an A. Okay. But I still got a B in biology and Spanish. So I decided to retake my Spanish AS.
And you just got rid of biology?
I had to go.
So I would have done the same thing. I really hated the sciences so much. After GCSE, it's just done. But yeah, they look at your AS grades. I feel like those are quite important. So obviously, again, you don't have to have perfect AS results to apply, but the better your grades are, then the more of a chance you stand.
Yeah, that's after I got an A in my geography the second time around. I think that definitely helped. But they asked me why I was retaking Spanish, and I was like, well, you can only ever improve in a language, so I'm going to get an A.
There you go.
And then I did, so it's good.
I applied post A level though, so I actually already had my A level grades. So when I applied, I had an A star in Japanese and then 3 A's, which are politics, economics, and German.
And you can tell by the subjects that we've done that you don't have to do certain like special subjects. One girl who's doing Japanese, she did maths, chemistry, English and physics.
I can't even
so
like, how
that's not even anything to do with Japanese at all.
Yeah.
But she still got in, so I guess it's just doing well in your subjects.
And being able to show them that you're actually interested in the subject you want to study. I feel like that's probably the most important thing.
Let me think, what did I do? I didn't really think about that at all while like going through GCSEs and A-levels until I had to write a personal statement, and I was like, no, what have I done? So I became a peer mentor, but I didn't actually mentor anyone. And I was a prefect, a language prefect.
I did a lot of music at school, so I played in basically all the orchestras. That was basically all I did. I did Duke of Edinburgh as well. I did bronze and I did silver. And so I got halfway through gold, and then I was like, I don't have any more time for this.
No, I did bronze.
Yeah.
But I hated it so much that I refused to get a certificate for it. So I've done everything I need for it, but because I haven't actually sent it to DV, I don't have the certificate.
See, my school made it seem like you have to do something like DV when you're applying to Oxford, otherwise you're not going to get in. Everyone's going to be doing DV, so you need DV, but really it's just lies. If anyone tries telling you need DV, don't believe them, because it's honestly not true.
Don't do it. If you're unfit like me, just avoid it like the plague.
But I think extracurriculars, while they're great and they show that you do things, I don't know, outside of work, they're really not the thing that the university they're interested in. Like Oxford and Cambridge, they don't care about whether you did bronze DV. They're more interested in your passion for the subject that you'll want to study. So I feel like the summer between AS and A2 is probably the most important time, because that's when you can get all your sort of preparation done, really.
That's what should have happened. But I didn't actually think about applying to Oxford until the summer. I didn't know anything about it, but I thought, okay, it'll be fine. I'll get my AS grades, and then I'll tell my school.
Yeah.
And I told my school, and they actually told me that I shouldn't apply because my grades were too low. But I was like, no, I'm gonna apply anyway.
You're gonna apply anyway.
So I applied anyway, and I had to, because nobody in my school did Japanese. I did Japanese outside of school. I basically had to prepare for the interviews and everything by myself. But I would definitely recommend doing it during the summer. Yeah,
during the summer is really when you can get all your reading done, because in your personal statement, the things you're going to want to be talking about are things that you've done for your subject.
Yeah.
So between AS and A2, I would focus that summer on basically just doing reading around your subject, researching things that you're interested in, doing things that are related to your subject. So I went to quite a lot of lectures in London at the Japan Foundation. I did loads of Japanese actual kanji work as well. So
yeah, I should have done that as well. But what did I do? I went to loads of museums.
Yeah.
Because London has loads of museums that have Japanese exhibitions, and as you said, like reading is really important. Because people kind of forget that doing a subject you actually do need to read books to do all your essays. I think I just looked at the reading list on the website and chose like the cheapest, like 3 of the cheapest books they had, and just tried to read them. And yeah, so I read Japan Before Perry.
Okay, yeah, I think I might have read that as well.
And I was interested in North Korea, so I read, I can't remember what the title's called, but it's by Paul French, and that was really interesting, and I actually spoke about North Korea in my personal statement, because I was interested in, I still am interested in the relationship between the 3 countries.
Yeah, I think I focused less on history and more on like literature, because that was sort of my main interest. So I read a lot of like modern Japanese literature. I also did some classical literature as well, and I did read into history as well, but not really deeply, sort of just to get a general idea of the history, because it's important that if you're applying for a subject like Japanese, that you do know something about the country.
So yeah, I did an EPQ as well, because my school was like, the EPQ gives you a special edge above like all other students. So
didn't it count as an extra AS as well?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And I was really interested in the Ainu, who are an ethnic group that live in North Japan, so Hokkaido, like around that area. So that was like something I could speak about, because I've never been to Japan or actually had like proper lessons in anything other than the language. So that shows I do have an interest in the history and and I made sure to speak about it in every single one of my interviews. Like even if they didn't ask me, I was like,
you just brought it up anyway.
So in my EPQ, I spoke about this, so perhaps you could say da 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 da, and then yeah.
So I also did a Japanese speech competition because I had actually studied Japanese for quite a few years before. So I applied for a Japanese speech competition, I got to the finals and I actually came second in like a national competition. So I mentioned that as well, and the same with your EPQ, I sort of managed to bring it into every sort of, it came into all my interviews, and I was talking about, so my speech was on kanji and, you know, the importance of kanji in Japanese.
Yeah, so the thing about our subject is that because it's not a normal thing that's taught in schools, in your personal statement you can just talk about any of your interests. So as well as talking about international relations and history, I did mention some of the books that I read. I didn't actually read them until I think after I sent off my application. So I spoke about like Yunosuke Kitagawa, Natsume Soseki and Haruki Murakami. So I was like, okay, now I have to actually read the books. I also spoke about the films that I liked, so Studio Ghibli, kind of how he depicted Japanese culture and focused on nature, which is, it kind of like highlights Japan's like interest in environmentalism and animism.
I think in my personal statement as well, I talked about all the books I'd read. I also talked about my speech competition as well. And I said earlier that I applied like after my A-levels and I spent my gap year in Japan, so I was studying at a high school in Japan. So I talked about that as well and my experiences there. You
can talk about things you're going to in the future because they will be true by the time you have your interview, so it'll be okay. What was I going to say? Oh, not a bell.
Sometimes I've heard the bell ring, like it was 12 and it rang like 18 times. That was going on.
It rings too many times. Well, like it's usually on the weekend or on a Sunday. It rings for like 3 hours at a time, and I don't know why. What's different about applying to Oxford is, other than just your personal statement, you have to give in written work.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out because I had no clue what to write about because I did Japanese and geography and Spanish and it had to be in English. So I was like, what
yeah, same, because I did Japanese and German. And then my other two subjects, economics and politics. Economics didn't really have sort of essays that were worthy of sending in, so all I had was politics. But yeah, I sent in a politics essay and I actually wrote an essay for the application just because I didn't have anything else to do. So I would definitely check on the Oxford website about what to do with written work because some subjects require it, I think, some don't. So, like obviously Japanese did.
And also when you're looking around Oxford, ask the tutors. Yeah. Because I did when I looked around in September, because I told them I've only done geography, so what do? Like, you can hand in a geography essay, that'll be fine. Even if we don't understand it, we'll give it to an actual tutor who does.
Okay.
So I gave in a geography essay. It was actually about volcanoes. So it was nothing, actually no, there was a case study about Japan, but it was basically just nothing about Japan. And then I gave in part of my EPQ. What was your other essay about?
So my other essay was on Japanese prime ministers. And I think that the question was like, why does Japan change prime ministers so often? Because in the last 20 years, they've had like millions.
Millions, really?
Yeah, so
yeah, I guess that's about it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. We'll be doing more videos in the future, eventually. And also, if you want to know about actually preparing for interviews and the interview process, there will be a video on Dom's
So we're going to film a part 2. So if you want to see that, then do click on the link.
Okay, click on the link that I'll put in the description box below. And if you have any other questions or questions you want us to ask in another video, let us know.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.